Test 1 2 1 2. Oh, hey, that's good stuff. Oh, just kind of playing around here. Well, hey, good morning. Hey, it's Mornings with James, Just FM, Just TV, and let's see here. See if I can actually see where I'm at this morning and where you're at this morning. So, you know, I was on a little bit of a sabbatical sort of thing, just kind of taking a little time off. And I am so glad to be back on the air and hanging out and sharing some things. Now, here's the really cool thing with regards to doing this. It gives me a chance to actually talk about the things that I want to chat about, and of course, I'm also sharing that with. Hang on, I'm going to make sure I'm broadcasting properly here. I'm noticing I don't have a green light on. Hang on one sec. Okay, I've got the right green lights going. Everything's all set. So let's have a little conversation. Mornings with James, all about shifting your paradigm, shifting how you think about different things, and shifting where you are in your life. So here we are on a Tuesday morning. How's life going? Are you making enough money? Is the job you've got the right kind of job? Is your relationship the right relationship? I'm not going to say I've got all the answers. Maybe I've got something I can add to your life or something you can take away from this morning that will help you change. Okay? Now, I've said it before, when you want to make change happen, you want to make radical change happen, it is that time where you need to really look at what you're doing. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you're finding that the results aren't what you want, stop doing it. That's the definition of insanity, by the way. You keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you keep getting the same results. And you think you're going to get something different, but it just doesn't happen. So let's look at what's going on in life. Okay? Where are you? What kind of job? You know, I get people to say to me all the time, you know, what do you actually do for a living? Well, I'm a hypnotist. I'm a health coach. I love doing what I do. I love traveling around, love talking with people, and I love putting programs together for people which will help them create positive change. Now, is it the ideal life? Is it a perfect life? It is one that I really, really enjoy. And I can honestly say, is it perfect from time to time? Sometimes it's super busy, sometimes it's not busy enough. And at all times, it's challenging and it's fun. And I know that the ball is in my court, and it's entirely up to me to determine what success I will have. And that's the fun part about this. Now, I'm going to be doing some stuff on my phone here because I want to make sure that that I'm getting this feed out to every place that I need to get it out to. So I'm going to see if I can kind of connect with it. Now, as we move forward on this, that key word, connecting and then sharing. I'm a firm believer in the fact that when we do different things, if they're positive, they're wonderful, let's connect, let's share. And by connecting and sharing with people, we're also moving forward. We're making really cool things happen. Okay, looking at your life. Is your life what you want it to be? Are you having fun with it? Is it moving you forward? Or do you find that really crazy things keep happening to you? You know, this is the big challenge here. If crazy things keep happening to you, okay, maybe the thing you're doing is not quite right. Maybe the thing you're doing needs to change. So I want you to think about this. There we go. Managed to share it where I needed to share it. Okay. The definition of insanity is doing things over and over again, expecting a different result, but of course you're always going to get the same result because you're always that same person. All right? When it comes to making change happen, making change a reality, what do we need to do? I come across people all the time, and one of the most common ones, as a health coach, people say to me, you know what, James, or JR, I'm trying to lose weight, it's not working. Okay, well, what are you doing? Well, I work out an hour every day, or I work out 3 hours every day, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Okay, have you tried not working out so much? You know, it's interesting, even that mindset of trying to lose weight. How many of you have said, I'm trying to lose weight? We send an interesting signal to ourselves when we say we're trying to lose something. First and foremost, our bodies don't like to lose anything. We don't like to lose anything. So when it comes to weight loss, if we're saying I'm trying to lose weight, first of all, that's a poor start right there. And I don't want to sound judgmental or really critical right off the bat. People say, well, what am I doing then? Why don't you release the weight? And why don't you set yourself a radical goal? So let's go over this. A couple of weeks ago, I set a goal. I wanted to lose 10 pounds in 10 days. Now, what ended up happening? I lost 5 pounds in 10 days. Okay? Now, what was the problem with that? I'm going to put my do not disturb on here. What's the problem with that? Well, when I set that goal to lose 10 pounds in 10 days, that actually is a pretty reasonable goal for me, using a calorie-reduced diet, but making sure that I get enough nutrients and also making sure that I'm getting the right kind of foods in. So I use a ketogenic protocol, which means I'm going to preserve my fat, preserve my muscle, and I'm going to drop the carbs. Okay? I started working out. I started running stairs. I was doing burst training or interval training, high-intensity interval training, which I'm a huge advocate of. By the way, if I mention anything here and you've got an issue with it, you've tried to do it and maybe it hasn't worked, or maybe it's produced less than desirable results, okay? I want you to keep in mind that in all of this, you need to be healthy. Whenever somebody talks about making a radical change happen, it's got to be right for you. You've got to figure that out for yourself, okay? The things I'm saying to you, these are a guideline. These are things that I believe work, and they work for a person like myself. And maybe if you're kind of like me, you can find a truth in there for you and make it work for yourself. So my goal of 10 pounds in 10 days, what was wrong with it? Well, for one thing, when I started working out, I started building muscle, okay? And of course, that stabilized everything. But what happened with my waistline? Why did I want to lose that 10 pounds? Well, I wanted to lose the 10 pounds because I thought, you know, my stomach wasn't as flat as I wanted it to be. I was a little bit too puffy around the waistline. I'd been doing things that weren't consistent with a healthy lifestyle. Had some bread, you know, had the odd beer, things like that. And of course, you know, when you have that stuff, for me, it just makes me puffy. So I set that goal for losing 10 pounds in 10 days. It was a radical goal. It's something that it would have to get me up in the morning and propel me forward, and it would force me to stay in the moment every day working on that goal. It was really an incredible thing. When you wake up in the morning, you go, okay, my goal today is to be my healthiest self. And keeping in mind, and I'm doing affirmations all the while with this as well, okay? Keeping in mind, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm losing 10 pounds. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm losing 10 pounds. And I would repeat this over and over again. Now, the interesting part about this is that as I was working out, I was actually building muscle. And of course, you know, when I lost my 20 pounds over a year ago, I didn't work out at all. I had toned down quite a bit because I wasn't working out, because I wasn't doing any high-intensity training. I didn't have the muscle that I have now. Now I carry a lot more muscle. I'm a lot stronger now than I was a year and a bit ago. and that muscle has weight to it. So let's go back to the goal again. My goal to lose weight, and by the way, your clothes are really your best guideline for weight loss sometimes. You feel your pants are getting a little bit looser, maybe your legs are getting a little bit tighter because your leg muscle's growing, your arms are getting a little bit bigger, so your shirts are a little bit tighter in the sleeves and such like that, but they're not as tight across the front. These are all great indicators. Now, weight loss, it's an interesting field because there are so many great companies out there helping people to make radical change happen. And in some respects, all of them work to a certain degree. The ones that work the best are the ones that are sustainable. So let's go back. I mentioned the word keto and ketogenic protocol. One of the things with doing ketosis is having a plan and knowing what foods I'm going to eat. So if you're not familiar with what ketosis is, that's where your body actually uses fat as a fuel instead of carbs. Now the interesting thing, just to break it down simply, when you go on a carb-reduced diet, which I think is great because I think all of us have way too many carbs in our diet. If you're working out hard, you can certainly tolerate more carbs. The whole point here is you want to get to the point where your calorie intake is still good, solid. Maybe you're wanting to operate off of 1,500 calories instead of an average of 1,800 to 2,200 calories, which is generally what people need to be in homeostasis as far as their weight is concerned. Maybe you need to be a little bit lower than that. That is a question you have to ask yourself. If you look at what you're eating, and you're eating nutritionally rich foods, and you continue to gain weight, even though you're working out, even though you think you're doing the right kind of food intake for yourself, chances are you're taking in too many calories for what you're doing, or you're taking in too many of the wrong calories. So keep that in mind. There's real science to this. For myself, about 100 grams of protein a day, and then about 200 grams, 180 to 200 grams of fat every day, and then under 25 grams of carbs every day. Now, scientific person in you might say, well, wait a minute, our brains need sugar. How are you supposed to function? Well, when we go into ketosis, our liver takes the fat and breaks it down and produces ketones. Okay? Our body's actually meant to actually function very well off of ketones. As a matter of fact, before we had all this abundance, being in a state of ketosis was kind of a natural annual thing for us to do when foods became scarcer in the winter months, and we, basically for sustenance, we had animals that we ate. So we had fat and protein that way. And then you're getting all the nutrients you need from those animals. All right? The same thing carnivores do in the wild, right? Well, it's along that similar line. Now, that's pretty much a pretty simplistic breakdown of it. For myself, in my carb-reduced diet, I just find I think better, I recover better, my body works better. Now, getting back to the whole weight loss thing, I wanted to lose 10 pounds. Was that the right goal? Well, actually, no, it wasn't. What I should have done was I should have measured myself and then done my weight and then continued to take measurements. And I'll make sure I do that next time. Regardless of whether you're a health coach or, we all talk about dietary information. We all know how to eat properly. In my Healthy Focus group, a lot of my clients, they all know what to do. They all know how to eat properly. And yet, there's something slightly askew there. Now, here's where it gets really fun. I want you to think about maybe what you ate over the weekend. Did you indulge? Did you take a day off? Did you, do things you wouldn't normally do on Saturday night that you wouldn't normally do on, say, a Wednesday night? Well, maybe, yeah. You're out celebrating with friends. I had a chance to go over to a friend's place and experience some wonderful, wonderful food. Dar and Daryl just cooked up just an amazing, absolutely amazing meal, and the pork loin roast that Daryl cooked. Oh, I tell you what, absolutely fantastic. It's great having friends who are so incredibly talented and want to share this way. Now, that said, did I eat a little bit more than I should have? Did I have maybe a little bit more of something else that I shouldn't have? Probably. And that means Sunday is a great day for recovery, and then Monday sort of getting back out of it as long as you're healthy, you're not sick, right? So here we are Tuesday and getting back into it. I get myself back into ketosis. I'll go out, and even though it's cooler today and we're talking about maybe getting a little snow, I'll hit up the stairs and I'll make sure that I do my best in a burst set to decrease the glycogen levels in my body and get my body back into ketosis. I'll have some good fats. My coffee, I put a tablespoon of butter in it, and people say that's gross. Tell you what, when you're keto adaptive, anytime you take in fat like that, your body says, hey, thank you. That is absolutely fantastic. It is just an incredible way of being. Now that's for me. You tweak this and do whatever you want. The whole point is, when you have a clear vision of what you want, even that 10 pounds, even though it was slightly askew, when you have a clear vision of what you want, it gets you up and drives you forward in the morning, then you know you're on the right track. Your goal, your health goal, should be radical. That personal goal should be a radical goal. It should empower you. And I know a lot of times people say, well, you know what, I've done this diet thing, I've done this keto thing, I've done this, and I get sick, and it just doesn't work for me. Okay, you need to do it on a consistent basis. This is not a dietary way of being so much as a lifestyle. When you begin to change how you think about things, even doing affirmations, maybe your affirmation is something like, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm eating more of what I want to eat and how I want to eat. And by the way, that's not cream puffs and donuts and bagels and things like that. Okay? That's cutting all that stuff out. Cut out the simple sugars. Cut them down. We have way too much of them in our diets. Way too many of them in our diets. If you look at your diet, by the way, and I was having a little conversation with one of my Healthy Focus clients about this, and we like to treat our kids and our grandkids really well. And when it comes to breakfast, sometimes the very thing that we're doing for them for breakfast is the very thing that we wouldn't do for ourselves, but for our kids. They're younger, they're maybe a little bit more resilient. That's great. If you have children that have weight issues, keep this in mind. If they have weight issues and they're in their teens, maybe they're below 10 years of age, if they have weight issues now, they are going to have a 90% chance of having weight issues for the rest of their lives. Because what you feed them and what you set out for them to learn as they're growing then imprints upon them and sets the paradigm that they're going to have for their life. Now, that word paradigm, that is going to be the way they see the world and how they see themselves. Now, when I talked about, if you're trying to lose weight or trying to release weight, and you've done this over and over again and it never seems to work for you, okay? It's because of the paradigm that you're operating under. It's because of your own self-hypnosis. And this is where you need to start doing some radical things to make a change happen. And the radical things that you do should be sustainable. That's the one problem with diets. It's the one problem with certain programs out there, and I won't mention any. They're such a dramatic takeaway from what a normal life is and for what things we can do every day are, that they're good for a while. You'll lose a bunch of weight with it, maybe in a month, 2 months, maybe in 6 months. You lose all this weight. You lose 50 pounds. Fantastic. However, what you've been doing is only temporary. And in your mind, you're saying to yourself, okay, I'm just going to do this for now. And once I achieve my weight loss, great. Then I'll go back to drinking beer. Then I'll go back to having my donut in the morning. Then I'll go back to, Tim Hortons, McDonald's, Burger King, what have you. You don't get it. It has to be a lifestyle change. It has to be a fundamental change in how you think here. If you don't change how you think here, what happens out here and what happens here is not going to change. Keep that in mind. Now, maybe you're sitting back and you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, well, okay, that's all great to say, Mr. Hypnotist Guy. How do you make that change happen? Well, take time to relax. And take time to look at why you think the way you think. Whether it has to do with the money situation you're in, the job situation you're in, the relationship situation you're in. Maybe it has to do with your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. When you're having issues with your eating, and maybe you find that at night you're feeling a little bit on the lonely side, and what do? Grab a bag of chips. Maybe you have some popcorn with butter on it. Maybe you have that pastry delight that you love. Maybe you have that Boston cream pie. Maybe you have that chocolate eclair. Maybe you have that pint of ice cream, because it makes you feel better. It makes you feel good initially. And then afterwards, you're just full of remorse, guilt, and shame. And you look at yourself in the mirror and you hate yourself. How do you change that? That very same mirror that you're looking in and hating what you're seeing looking back, that same mirror is the same mirror you need to write on. You need to put a message on there, a message of inspiration. I am worthy, I'm beautiful, I'm amazing. And you repeat that over and over again till it becomes a truth, till it becomes a reality. If you think of this, if all you do is say to yourself, I hate myself, I'm not worthy, that actually represents your own negative self-talk. So, looking at some of the comments here, we'll take a break on this for a sec. If you can negative self-talk, and boy, that sure is easy, why can't we turn it around and make it positive? Right? Tammy this morning, 21-day habit forming. Once that's done, it's a habit. 21 days. I'm going to say yes and no. Okay? It actually takes about 6 weeks. 21 days is a great start, and my Healthy Focus program is a 4-week program. Okay? 21 days is a great start. Tammy also pointed out, too, keep to the outside aisles when you're shopping. Notice that, when you go shopping, and Glenn, thank you very much for joining in this morning, and thank you very much for the comments. I love the virtual studio. It's actually a green screen studio, and it just works really well. Here's the thing. When you go to the grocery store, notice how most of the healthy stuff, fruits and vegetables, are all on one side, and then the meat's on the other side, and then you have your dairy and everything like that on the final side, maybe pharmacy across the front, whatever. All the good stuff is on the outside. How interesting is that? And I think that's almost on purpose, right? Here's something else. You get so much processed food. It changes how we think. I found when I was diagnosed with severe ADHD, and once I became medicated, people really noticed a change. The biggest change I found, though, is when I actually went on a ketogenic protocol. So that is eating keto, okay, putting my body in a position where it's burning fat instead of burning carbs for fuel, or taking away my muscle and burning the protein, that's the muscle, I found my thinking changed. And my ADHD behavioral patterns actually decreased substantially. Now, isn't that interesting? When you get away from sugar brain, when you get away from carb-based thinking, isn't it interesting how everything changes? How even it seems like your intellect goes up. It seems like your ability to be in the moment and focus in the moment, that all completely changes. And maybe your ability to have faith in yourself. If you can say something as bizarre as, I hate myself. Oh, I'm so stupid. That's probably not the truth. I don't believe that anyone really is stupid as they define themselves. And I think when it comes to hating ourselves, I think that statement needs to be redirected. you hate what you do. You hate your mistakes. Sometimes you hate your perspective, or you hate your impulsiveness. You hate the things that you say sometimes. And then you feel guilty for having said it, or you feel ashamed of how you look. Maybe you were this great athlete when you were younger in life, and now you just let yourself go. And you just want to make a change. Play a trick on yourself. If you can say the negative things, say the positive things. And keep saying the positive things till you feel better about yourself. Take a moment to quiet yourself down and think about why you feel that way about yourself. Now, I've been on this really interesting journey over the last year and a bit, and I've got to say, over the last 3 months, amazing things have been happening for me. And that's because of the success group, Burning Desire, and people like Glenn that I'm connected with. And the people who share their inspiration, like Mariko and Laura, and all these great people all over the world, we get a chance to sit down and have a video chat with, or I get a chance to sit down and listen to the video chats after their sessions, and they've changed me. Now, I've realized that when I want to make positive change happen, I sometimes need to stop, and I need to take steps to have greater faith in myself. You know, people meet me and they say, well, hey, what, JR, you're a pretty confident guy. Yes and no. Ghost in the machine. I've got my own skeletons in the closet, and that self-doubt comes up, and it takes me back. When I take a moment to do some soul searching, and I look back on my past, and I then begin to understand, okay, I became a hypnotist because I wanted to be sort of this rock star, in control sort of guy. I wanted to be validated by the people around me by the amazing things that I did with the power of the mind. I needed that validation. And now I've grown because I've been able to look back on the past, and I've been able to see, yeah, you know what? I'm a survivor. And the things that I've been through in my youth, the things that were done to me, not particularly nice things, the things that I experienced, not particularly nice things, and we all have those skeletons in our closet, and the things that I did, not particularly nice things, shaped my paradigm in my life and my self-worth. And what it did to me was it meant that I needed to do these crazy things, like being in radio, being a DJ, being that guy that was dancing and acting out and being really wild, being the center of attention. I needed to be the center of attention to validate myself, because if people weren't looking at me and talking about me and saying, oh, hey, JR, that was amazing, or James, that was fantastic, I didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel like I was worthy. I didn't feel like I was enough. And that's changed radically over the last year. And even over the last 3 months, even more change, more positive change, has taken place as I've asked myself the question, why? Why do I feel that way? Why did I do that? And, I love when Bob Proctor talks about these things, and if that name doesn't sound familiar to you, okay, just go online and look up Bob Proctor and The Secret, Proctor Gallagher. Look these up, okay, and look for some of the YouTube videos that Bob's got out there. Amazing. Bob would do things when he was younger, and his mom would say to him, why'd you do that? He'd say, I don't know. I look at some of the things that I do and how I was always making excuses and justifying things. And people would say, well, why are you doing that anyway? I don't know. Now if somebody asks me that, why'd you do that? I can say, I did it because I needed to justify, to feel better. I did this to validate myself. And I'm getting better at doing that. Rommel, thanks for joining in. Glad to have you on the show today. And Gail and Tammy and Glenn, by all means, as we're moving forward with this, and this will be a little bit of a long one today, make sure you share it. Now, this morning, while I was working on what I'm going to talk about in my show, I was thinking about this. I thought about it over and over again. And I was doing these affirmations. And what came out was the fact that, we can take 2 steps forward, and at some point there's going to be 1 step back. Take 3 steps forward, it's going to be 1 step back. Having faith in yourself and being able to ask yourself the question, why? And then, why not? Why not create an amazing life? An amazing life full of amazing experiences. Why not reach out? And people might come back and say, well, what if it doesn't work? What if you don't achieve your goal? If it's a truly radical goal, maybe you don't achieve it as quickly as you want. I have a goal for making a certain amount of money and doing a certain number of shows by the end of the year. And as I look at it right now, it looks like I'm going to fall short of it. However, every morning when I get up and I look at it and I think about, I create my day before I get out of bed, I realize, wait a minute, there's still so much more I can do. I am so very, very happy and grateful that I live a life of infinite potential, that I do not have a 9-to-5 job, that I can create more, radically more. I could have a bunch of clients just literally fall in my lap. And what I found, interestingly enough, this great statement, I am so very happy and grateful. I'm so very happy and grateful that so many clients are coming my way. I'm so very happy and grateful that so much abundance is coming my way. I'm so very happy and grateful that I'll get new clients this week. Now, how will I get those new clients this week? I don't know. What I do know is I need to be open to it and I need to have an action plan. My Healthy Focus Group. That is my action plan. Now, it's a small group. And if you're interested in being a part of it, so that you can check out videos like this, and I realize we're sharing this video all over the place. Oh, there's Deb joining in. Sorry, a little distracted by that. Thank you, Deb. Appreciate that. We're sharing this all over the place. I realize that moving forward, my Healthy Focus Group is a small group. It's got kind of an interesting name, just Healthy Focus. It really says it all. If you're interested in being a part of it, by all means, anyone can be a part of it. And I want people who want to be a part of it, who are interested in gaining a better focus over their health and a greater awareness about why they do the things they do. That's what Healthy Focus is all about. It's about building up self-esteem. It's about building up confidence. Now, there is a component to Healthy Focus that you do pay for, right? But it's free to be in the group. And once you're in the group, hey, great things happen. Okay? And I'm always addressing what's going on in the group. Now, one of the reasons why we're talking about the things that we're talking about this morning, about changing your paradigm, it's because the people that I look to for inspiration talk about paradigm shifts all the time. And as I think about it, I realize this is something that I need to continue to do because I'm still standing in my own way. And if I'm still standing in my own way, I mean, think of the other people out there. Think of the people maybe like yourself or the people you may know. Think of the people who are stuck in that job that don't like that job. I'm a firm believer in the fact that we should get paid to do the things we love to do. And I love doing what I do. And I realize I don't know it all. Okay, I'd be the first one to say it. And that's why I say anything that I suggest to you here, these are suggestions. And yes, they make sense. There are people out there, yes, with 21-day plans for ketogenic protocols. It's 21-day cleanse. It makes sense. And yes, it works. Not many people, though, have the strict discipline to stay the course and make it work because of their paradigm and because of their self-esteem, their self-image. If you start on any of these programs and you're moving forward with them and you find yourself falling off it, maybe you need to love yourself a little bit more. Remember that mirror I was talking about? How about writing on there, I am in love with myself. I am enough. I am worthy. I am worthy of better health and fitness. I am worthy of a better diet. How about stuff like that? How about we share that with ourselves? Right? There's no harm in deceiving yourself if it's to a good end. There is no harm in lying to yourself and building yourself up. Lie to yourself till it becomes a truth. Deceive yourself till it becomes a reality. Deceive yourself until it becomes the way you see the world. I sit down and talk with my clients, and I see the words, hear the words, see how they act, see how they carry themselves. And I see the power of the words that they say about themselves and how that negatively impacts them. If we have the power to say negative things and impact ourselves in a negative way, should we not have the power to build ourselves up, to say positive things about ourselves and make positive change happen? Is that not a possibility? Yes, it is, absolutely. The thoughts in our head, they are ours to control. But you have to get to the point where you realize that. And if your self-esteem is such that it doesn't allow you to do it, you drag your butt around all day, you barely get out of bed in the morning, and the thoughts in your head are all, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. Reach out and connect with people who inspire you. Use that. Do things to help yourself feel good. When you're feeling down, put on music that builds you up, that lifts you up. How great is that? I used to always say to one of my clients who was actually developmentally delayed, excuse me, and I would say to this client, when you feel bad, when you feel down, bounce. Put on a favorite song, whether it's YMCA, whether it's Dancing Kudero, whether it's some Volbeat song, some Iron Maiden, or maybe it's the latest Kelly Clarkson or or One Republic song, or maybe it's the 80s, maybe it's the 70s, maybe it's some dub beats or some hip-hop, whatever. Put on something that builds you up and makes you just want to bounce, bounce, bounce. I'll tell you what, thoughts become things, and our mind and body are connected. And that's why when we feel down, and the thoughts in our head are just putting us down all the time, we need to do things to build up. We need to do things to reconnect with our positive self. We need to do those positive and amazing things to make great things happen. We have the power to do it. On my show before, and if you've checked out some of my other videos, and if you've gone to my Hypnotist J.R. Matthew YouTube channel, you'll note there's a lot of things there about how thoughts become things. Okay? Thoughts become things. Earl Nightingale would say, the greatest secret, and why it's a secret we don't know, because it's been said over and over again over the centuries. What you think about most of the time tends to be what you become. What you're thinking about tends to be what you become. And if you're thinking that you can't do it, you become that person who can't do it. If you're thinking you're not good enough, if you're thinking that person is out of your league, then that person's out of your league. If you don't ask somebody out on a date because you think that they're so much better than you, well, your body language is going to tell them that they are better than you. And I'm here to say this too, by the way. Nobody is better than anyone else, qualitatively, quantitatively. People have different skill sets and abilities, and certainly, somebody is better at running stairs than I am. Somebody is better at working out or maybe taking off the weight, maintaining that weight loss, that weight release. Maybe somebody's better at that than I am. Maybe somebody's better at creating fitness in their life than I am. and I'm better than somebody else at doing the same thing. We each have our own unique abilities. I may be a better problem solver than somebody else because of the nature of my brain, my ADHD brain. And that's a great thing. I remember a friend of mine coming to me almost in tears because that friend had been diagnosed with moderate ADHD and they had to go on pills. And I said, well, that's fantastic. And they said, well, no, my brain doesn't work properly. I said, sure it does. Your brain works the way your brain is wired to work. And whether it's because of trauma, because of your upbringing, because of your imprinting, whatever, you have this amazing, unique brain. Well, you learn to use it, learn to work it. We all have these great abilities. What is your ability? Learn to work that. Maybe it's playing an instrument of some kind, maybe it's speaking, maybe it's selling houses. Maybe it's putting fundraisers together. Maybe it's that next level thing. Maybe it's promoting somebody's idea or helping somebody solve a problem. Maybe that's your thing. Maybe it's math. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's inspiring. Or maybe it's being a doctor. Maybe your greatest gift is your healing abilities. Or maybe it's being a friend. We all have these great, absolutely amazing abilities. So what is your ability? Take a moment and look at it. Think about it. And, if you come back and you say, I don't have any great abilities, everyone else is better than me, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. That's your self-esteem talking. And when you're aware that your self-esteem and your self-image are low, now it's time to start to build that up. How do we build it up? Let's say it again. We build it up through affirmations, through autosuggestion. We build it up by looking at the past. Here's a great trick for you, by the way. If your self-esteem is really low, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take some time, today, tomorrow, whenever, tonight, or maybe 5 minutes from now, 5 minutes after this podcast is over. I want you to take some time to go look at yourself in the mirror. And here's what I want you to do. Be aware if you've got any negative thoughts. I want you to look yourself in the eyes. And I want you to say this to yourself. I am so happy and grateful that I am so unique and I am me. And as I look at myself, I forgive you for those crazy bad things you did. Please forgive me for the crazy bad things I've done. I forgive you for feeling bad about yourself. I forgive you for saying those bad things about yourself. Please forgive me for saying those bad things about myself. This is you looking at yourself in the mirror. I forgive you for talking badly about me. Please forgive me for talking badly about you. Releasing that negativity, doing that simple forgiveness. When you're there looking at yourself, take a moment, calm yourself down, be in the moment. Things are going to change. Forgiving yourself for being mad at yourself, great. Forgiving yourself for the crazy, stupid things you did in the past, great. Learn from it. Do your best to lessen the chances that those things are going to happen again. And do your best to fall back in love with yourself. Do your best to find that reason to be in love with yourself. And maybe the reason to be in love with yourself is not to compare yourself to anyone else. Maybe it's for your great gray hair. Maybe it's for the way you look at the world. Or maybe It's because there's 7 billion people in the world. And there's nobody like you. There's nobody like you. And that is cause for celebration. 7 billion people in the world and nobody quite like you. There's nobody who's lived through your experiences. There's nobody who's done the things that you've done and learned the things that you have learned. There's nobody out there like you. That is cause for celebration. I want you to think about that on this Tuesday. Forgive yourself and get moving forward. Today is the day to start with a goal. What will your goal be? Will your goal be to continue moving forward? Whatever that goal is, I hope you're going to make it happen by 5 o'clock on December 31st of 2018. Whatever that goal is. Whether it's to create a bunch of abundance, a bunch of wealth, or maybe it's to achieve a certain fitness, a certain weight release goal, to be a certain way, to achieve a certain thing, to have so much money in the bank, or to have so many friends reconnected with you, to make your community a safer community, to lift so many people up, to bring so many people forward. Maybe that's your goal. And then start each day with that goal in mind. Start each day with that goal in mind. And say your affirmation as if it were a reality. I am so happy and grateful that this is now my reality. And whatever that is, whatever your goal is. I'm so happy and grateful that I am doing 40 more shows before the end of the year. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm booked for all my Christmas dates. I'm so happy and grateful. And then, as you move forward, have a plan for that. Speaking of moving forward, your action plan, yeah. So you can say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm having a busy Christmas season with speaking events, hypnosis shows, and hosting events. And there's still room for more. There's still room to be more, to get more. And there's still room to create more awareness about what you want and how you want it. Let today be the start and the continuation of your great success. Write it down, affirm it, and create that self-awareness. If you find yourself feeling like you're not worthy, ask yourself why. Where did that come from? I believe I know where mine comes from. It's been a long journey, and I can honestly say it's been the better part of 4 years on this journey. And when I thought I was doing really well, I realized I was actually going backwards. Your journey forward will be your journey. And it will be what it'll be. And the best part is, it's what you're going to create. The thoughts in your head, they're yours to control. You may get caught off guard every once in a while, and that's just your past coming back because your brain is essentially wired based on your past. When that comes up, when that old paradigm comes up again, or those old memories come up again, create an awareness of it, find a way to deal with it. If it's somebody that hurts you really bad, find a way to forgive. Because forgiveness is not about them. It's not letting them get away with it. It's about you. And it's about you moving forward, being in the moment, being your own best self. I want you to think about that as your day goes on. I welcome any of your questions. I welcome your feedback on this. And I think, as we move forward, there is a great opportunity to continue to make great things happen. So keep that in mind as you move forward today. Stay inspired, find answers. We'll keep promoting this idea. Write your affirmations down, say those affirmations in your mind. I am so happy and grateful now that whatever's happening is happening. I am so happy and grateful for you taking the time to join in today. Stay inspired. Check me out online, jrmatthew.com. jrmatthew.com.